Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. And today I'll be talking about my thing. It's an FDA approved drug. It's basically sulfide-based drug that we are using for cardiovascular dysfunction, which is for meth addicts, methamphetamine addicts. I'm from LSU Health, Shreveport. My name is Gopi Kolluru. And so hydrogen sulfide is known to be a key cardiovascular regulator, and the methamphetamine use, basically it mediates a lot of cardiovascular pathology that we have looked at with a lot of studies which are published from a lab. And basically the sulfide rectifies these defects, and it can also induce nitric oxide, which is another gas transmitter, which has a cardioprotective effects. So that's what I'm gonna talk to you about today. So I think it's self-explanatory. So this is a methamphetamine use in United States. The very deep red states are like an increased utilization of meth, and then as it goes pink, there is a less utilization. But overall, there is a lot of methamphetamine use throughout the states on an average. And this is the graph that shows about the methamphetamine abuse and also the incident rates and the prevalence of the disease, cardiovascular disease with the methamphetamine use. And there's an increase like almost 7.2%, and which is causing a lot of failure and hospitalizations and cardiovascular effects. And this one is giving you a snapshot of what hydrogen sulfide and nitric oxide does. Like, it is involved in cardiovascular health, and it is involved in a lot of diseases, including like hypertension, vasodilation, atherosclerosis, coronary artery disease, PAD, and all. So it is very, it's a key molecule that regulates endothelial function, and it is also involved in producing nitric oxide. And we have a published a way where how hydrogen sulfide can regulate nitric oxide. So coming to the results, so we have a preclinical model which will simulate the methamphetamine use from what the people do. So this is a binge and crash model where we take methamphetamine and then give it to the mice, and we observe the vasodilation or the vascular function. So this one is an echo showing the vascular function from to the left. It is a normal mice, and this one is with the methamphetamine. Its vascular dilation is severely compromised, and also the mean velocity, the blood flow, is also reduced. And so meth has different effects, right? So this is a cardiovascular pathology. So I'll try to simplify it in the next slide, where it affects the it has a atherosclerosis effect, and it's also increases the cardiac arrhythmias and also dilated cardiomyopathy and vasospasm. And at our center, we have identified different mechanisms and different effects of methamphetamine, especially with the cardiovascular function, dysfunction. And this is to the left, you can see the ejection fraction and fractional shortening. It's one of the cardiac output parameters which are severely compromised by the meth. But if you look at the meth plus sulfide and the CSE transgene, it's basically an enzyme that produces hydrogen sulfide. If we give it back, or if we give back the exogenous sulfide, it rectifies the ejection fraction and the fractional shortening, basically increasing the cardiac output. And to the right, this is a fibrosis staining, to make it simple. So whichever you see the blue, and where there is an increased incidence of cardiac fibrosis, and to the down left, it's methamphetamine. It is rectified with the sulfide, exogenous sulfide. It rectifies the fibrosis, compared to the one on the top right, where there is an increased incidence of the fibrosis. And this one is a change in the vessel diameter. Basically, it causes vasoconstriction, and thereby there is a reduction in the blood flow to different vessels. So as you compare, like this is, and the first one is a control where it's normal. And then with the meth, there is a reduction in the vessel diameter. With sulfide and the CSE transgene, it is rectified. And so we have identified the Sugammadex is an FDA-approved drug, which is used for the neuromuscular relaxation. What we have identified, it's novel sulfide donor, and it increases the, so we did different pharmacokinetic studies, and then it increases the plasma total sulfide levels, and we also looked at different tissues. And importantly, what we have seen in a model of cardiovascular disease and peripheral arterial disease, what we have seen, it improves the blood flow, which is defective with the PAD or the ligation model. And where, as you can see and appreciate on the top right corner, there is an increased blood flow, which is with the Sugammadex treatment. So this, we have done a small human studies where we have seen in the control patients, and we are also doing it in the cardiovascular disease and also methamphetamine users, basically how it can rectify the cardiovascular function. But as you can see here, there is a metabolites of the sulfide, which is bound sulfide sulfur or polysulfide, is replaced, which is increased by this Sugammadex treatment. And this is to the right is the enzyme that produces hydrogen sulfide, which is also elevated by giving Sugammadex. So basically trying to rectify the cardiovascular system with this drug. So in summary, methamphetamine, it causes cardiovascular pathology, and sulfide rectifies it. And this is an FDA-approved drug where we have repurposed. And so this is the motto of our lab. And if you have any questions and if you want to get in touch with me, those are my details. Thank you so much.
Any questions?
Great presentation. Thank
Thank
you. I had a question about why this drug is better for meth addicts' cardiovascular disease versus cardiovascular disease in general.
So we have looked at both. We are looking at the cardiovascular disease in general, but if you look at the prevalence of meth usage, and what we have recently shown is methamphetamine, it causes severe cardiovascular pathology. And right now, I don't think there is anything which is having a positive effect on the methamphetamine addicts. So we also found that with methamphetamine usage, irrespective of their complications, they have a reduced hydrogen sulfide and also nitric oxide, and they have a cardiovascular dysfunction, which is very critical. So when we have used the preclinical models, and we have like different rat models and other things also, and once we give the sulfide back to these methamphetamine models, their cardiovascular function has improved. But you're right. I mean, we have another clinical study where we have shown that in any cardiovascular disease in the PAD, there's a hydrogen sulfide which could be used as a biomarker to identify that there is a dysfunction occurs. So right now we are doing a study where we can identify even in the healthy individuals whether we can use it as a biomarker or not. So that's study is ongoing right now. So,
other questions?
thank you.
Perfect.